don't know, BJD addicts. This is BJD prompt number 4, and today's topic is on your doll's backstories. For the time being, all of my dolls are in the exact same backstory. It could stay the same, it could change completely. Hello everybody. He was born November 3rd. I try to keep the years really vague. But I do get my dolls' birthdays from the day that they arrived on. He was born November 3rd in Ireland. I'm not sure what part of Ireland yet. August had a pretty easy childhood. He had a little bullying in school just because he was an orchestra nerd, but that's about it. He was considered a child prodigy. He's a master violinist and he's only in his 20s. During his childhood, he reached national fame, but he hasn't quite reached international fame as of yet. His career is still very much under development. At 21, he met and married his English wife, Lavender. Obviously, Lavender isn't here because I haven't even found a doll that matches what I want her to look like yet. They met in the Royal Academy of Music in London. Obviously, August was there studying violin and Lavender was there studying to be an opera singer. A year after their marriage, they had Abigail. That will be the doll that I am going to be ordering from Zoom right away here. 5 years after Abigail, they had Lillian. Because they were being parents and all, their careers were kind of put on the back burner for a while. However, despite putting their careers on the back burner, Lavender's fame did skyrocket. And as most famous people get, she ended up getting a crazy fan. And just a few days before her and August's 13th anniversary, Lavender unfortunately disappears. Immediately, August and the Irish police begin an investigation and begin a search party. Finally, after a couple of weeks of searching, the police gave up. However, August decides that he doesn't want to believe that she's dead, that she's still out there and she's still alive. Since then, every day he goes out for a walk, which means he spends 2 hours out of his day searching for Lavender where she disappeared. After doing this for about a year, he falls into a depression, and although he is still a kind and loving father to Abigail and Lillian, he is most certainly not a happy father. And oftentimes he tends to lose himself with his violin in his study. My twins. They were born on February 13th, just a few years after August, and they were born to August's aunt, actually. Oz was always the type to be very aloof and into himself, and Annabelle instantly became very close with August. But even though they were very close, August and Annabelle are complete opposites, where August is very polite and very charming. Annabelle is very quick-witted and sharp-tongued. Their mother was very strict, and as soon as they became old enough to go to school, she instantly sent them to a boarding school in Ireland. So needless to say, they were not very close to their mom. When Oz was 16, he discovered that he was gay. He actually met his first love, who was one of his fellow classmates. Unfortunately, when he actually told this boy that he did have feelings for him, he was rejected. In his disappointment, he ended up telling his mother that he was in fact gay. And surprisingly, his mother took this very well, maybe a little too well. And ever since she found out, she's been trying to set up these ridiculous dates with these men that Oz would never go for. Annabelle and Oz's mother is another doll that I am searching for. Annabelle has been quite unlucky with love, but she is also a self-proclaimed lone wolf, so she doesn't really need men. When Lavender went missing, Annabelle and Oz were the first on the scene with August. In fact, when they stopped looking for Lavender, Annabelle moved closer so that she could help August raise the children. However, although she is very supportive, she does constantly lecture August about moving on with his life, about admitting to himself that Lavender is in fact dead. Who I obviously can't show you because she isn't here yet. I haven't even ordered her. As I said in an earlier prompt, the doll that I'm planning to get for Abigail is the Zoom Rosette School Camellia. I think I said that right. Her childhood was a happy one. She was always a highly intelligent girl. She's an explorer by nature, and she loves plants, she loves animals, and she loves to travel and see new places. When Lillian was born, she was instantly very protective of her, and when she was 12, that was when Lavender disappeared. She was devastated, but she managed her grief a lot better than August did. In fact, she was holding herself together really well by the time she was 14. And that also means that at this point she became very frustrated with August because he wasn't moving on. He wasn't being a great father to her and Lillian. So she decided to kind of initiate her own life, and she went to the Antoinetta traveling boarding school. And the interesting thing about the Antoinetta boarding school is that this school moves campus every year to a different foreign country. And in this point of the story, she is 16, so she has moved to 2 different countries so far. However, she does come home for regular visits at Christmas time and during the summer, during which time she works like a mad woman. She was born May 7th, 5 years after Abigail. She constantly looks up to her big sister. She always has followed her around like a lost puppy dog. And now that Abigail is going to school, her favorite thing is waiting for Abigail's letter to come into the mail. Lillian is very gifted with animals. So gifted that some people think that she might be able to even speak to them. In fact, animals may be the only entities that Lillian speaks to nowadays. Ever since Lavender disappeared, Lillian has had trouble with social skills. She doesn't say much. She'll respond when asked a question, but if an audible answer isn't required, she'll often just shake her head no or nod her head yes. Ooh, the nudist! Yeah, nudity! Eliphalet was born December 12th, but that's about all that I know at this point. I'm really not sure what her backstory is yet. I have a few ideas. My first idea is that she's a green sibling or relative. She might also be a fairy or an elf that Lillian comes upon in the garden. She might also be a fairy specimen that is in captivity in Abigail's school, in which case Abigail rescues her. She might also be a figment of someone's imagination. Little Henrietta was born January 10th. She is a rabbit, as most of you might have gathered. Originally, I wanted Henrietta to be a puka, and now she is Lillian's pet rabbit, who gets the majority of Lillian's conversations. This has been a very fun BJD prompt, and I am very excited to do more. Thank you for listening to my little rant about my dolls, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!